Freelance journalist Tim Stackpool is in Sydney, Australia, with an update on the situation for us. Tim, floodwaters still haven't reached their peak in some of the areas, including in Rockhampton. More rain expected for the area on Wednesday, making things worse, no doubt.
Yes, that is indeed very true, Todd. And you will find that there is the floodwaters will increase over the next 24 hours, and it is in 24 hours' time that those floodwaters are expected to peak in Rockhampton. Now, unfortunately, those people will be trapped in Rockhampton for at least the next 2 days. That airport will remain closed for the next week or so in that town. Now, what is happening is yesterday, Black Hawk helicopters were able to drop supplies into Rockhampton, but that high ground has since become inundated. So now what is happening is Hercules aircraft are flying those provisions north of Rockhampton, and then will shortly be barged in on water to make sure that the people in the town are well fed and kept well watered over the next, 2 or 3 days, Todd.
Tell us a little bit more about these warnings that people are being given about the dangers of crocodiles and snakes and debris in the water.
Yes, well, the difficulty is that perhaps as the water rises, the snakes and the crocodiles go looking for higher ground and dry ground. Now, that is what's happening right now. It's not unusual to find snakes in homes in northern Australian cities, but unfortunately, with the floodwaters, there seems to be much more of that. And indeed, there are stories of some of the rescue workers and police officers hightailing it out of the water while they're trying to undertake some relief efforts because they spot crocodiles in the water. One of the difficulties is that there's so much debris in the water that you can't necessarily tell the crocodiles from the debris. So it is a very dangerous situation, and a situation that will persist over the next couple of days until those waters recede. Now, further downstream, there are other towns, and perhaps the waters in those other towns are set to peak higher. I'll have to wait a week or so until that occurs, Todd.
And Tim, we know the human cost of this, that a number of people have already died from the flooding. There is also a huge economic cost as well to Australia, damage to agriculture, mining, tourism sectors. What can you tell us about that?
Yes, indeed. It is expected to be up to about $1 billion or so. And the cost to ecology, as we mentioned 24 hours ago on this program, that runoff will fall into the Great Barrier Reef. There's herbicides, pesticides, insecticides, all amongst that, fertilizer. So there's going to be a huge ecological cost on the Great Barrier Reef. But indeed, you take a look at what's happened on the futures exchanges around the world over the past 24 hours. I noticed the cost of wheat per bushel has spiked. The cost of coal has spiked on those futures exchanges as well. So the economic cost is far-reaching beyond Australia, even worldwide perhaps.
Tim Stackpool, freelance journalist, joining us from Sydney, Australia today with the latest on the flooding in that country. Thanks very much for this today, Tim.
Thank you, Todd.